25-year-old Charlotte woman died in October while vacationing in Cabo San Lucas. 5 months later, her family's still pleading for the people responsible to be arrested.
Authorities have already concluded the investigation.
If our Justice Department would be willing to extradite.
We have bad news for the family, friends, and Shanquella's supporters. Turns out the U.S. government does not hold as much power as we were giving it credit for, because only recently has the news blown up that Shanquella's suspects cannot and will not be extradited out of the U.S. and sent to the Mexican government.
If our Justice Department would be willing to extradite to Mexico, I think they'd much rather try.
Extradition of the prime suspects in the Shanquella Robinson murder case was suggested by the Mexican government and the legal team of the victim. That was due to the lack of responsiveness of the U.S. authorities regarding this matter. The family had no other option but to resort to other means to get the culprits to their well-deserved place back behind bars, and their daughter her due justice. The only plausible option was to let the Mexican authorities deal with the culprits however they deemed fit.
They can't wrap their heads around why no arrests have been made. They're urging the State Department to either take over the case or allow suspects to be extradited to Mexico.
It seemed only fair that the story finished off where everything started. No. Too bad the U.S. authorities beg to differ, because not only have they blatantly rejected this clause, but also they have failed to do something about it on their own. So we are left with a tangled and messy situation that no one knows how to reach the end of. Ever since the letter was sent to President Biden with all the evidence attached, people have been hopeful that the ball will eventually fall in Shanquella's court. The reason was that the letter had clear-cut proof against the culprits in the form of a video and a statement of a significant eyewitness. The video showed Shanquella getting beaten down at the hands of her friends, more aptly her travel mates. The video made a revolutionary impact on the case. The updates on the case were all over the news channels, rallies and marches were organized to show solidarity. Yet, the U.S. government decided to not budge. Extreme disappointment was shown by the victim's mother, Salamander Robinson.
They had a video that went viral. The whole world seen the video, and there's been no arrest since October the 29th. What kind of system is this?
Right, my Lord.
I just don't understand it.
On the other hand, the concierge from the hotel staff stepped up with a shocking statement. He confirmed that the Charlotte native, Shanquella, was indeed in an unhealthy situation with those who accompanied her. She wasn't happy, didn't receive the right kind of attention from her friends, and her friends manipulated the whole situation. In the concierge's official statement to the State Attorney General's office, he noted the first time he met Shanquella at a dinner party and said she did not seem to fit in with the others, saying that she didn't smile and was out of place at the party. The manipulation was done to make the whole setup look like an accident. A hideous murder through continuous torture and abuse made to look like an innocent case of death due to alcohol poisoning. We are already aware that soon after the incident, the family of Shanquella got upfront with the media and authorities regarding their demands from the justice system. They wanted the culprits to be extradited to Mexico. Mexican authorities turned out to be far more efficient. They have already inferred that Shanquella was a victim of femicide as soon as the medical report came out. Ben Crump, the family attorney, gave a statement to the media. They said that it was a homicide. The work is done.
Mexican authorities have already concluded the investigation. They've said that it was homicide.
So what is taking so long for a decision to be made if the case is clear as water? Well, the FBI has come up with shocking revelations regarding the laws of the state of the U.S. Due to these laws, the culprits can't be dealt with by the Mexican authorities. Regarding this matter, an ex-FBI member has come forward with bone-chilling predictions. Chris Swecker, who formerly served as head of the FBI Criminal Investigative Division, stated in an interview with WCNC Charlotte, "It's extremely rare for the U.S. to give a citizen to another country, especially if there are concerns of a corrupted government." He said that the Mexican authorities will most likely have to hand over this case to the justice system of the U.S. Mexican authorities have gone as far as issuing an arrest warrant against one of Shanquella's travel mates, or the Cabo Six. De La Rosa Aniat, a Mexican prosecutor who has been closely associated with the Shanquella murder case, told ABC News, "This case is fully clarified. We even have a court order. There is an arrest warrant issued for the crime of femicide to the detriment of the victim and against an alleged perpetrator." A friend of her who is the direct aggressor, she further went on to confirm that actually it wasn't a quarrel, but instead a direct aggression. The issuing of the arrest warrant was like a breath of fresh air for the family of the victim, who have been working tirelessly since October 2022. In response to the prosecutor's statement, Shanquella's mother shed some happy tears and stated, "I feel so good. That's a good feeling. That's what we have been waiting for someone to finally be held accountable and arrested. I just can't wait for justice to be served." This decision earned the Mexican authorities a lot of respect and praise from the people and paved the way for a lot of questions too. One fan tweeted, "I noticed Mexican authorities did not identify who the arrest warrant is for. I am so glad justice for Shanquella Robinson is on its way." The image attached to this tweet read, "Say her name." In response to the tweet, another series of tweets arose, more or less, inquiring upon the same subject. Why are they going after just one friend? Why are they even calling them friends at this point? All of them should be arrested, the direct aggressor plus the others who should be considered accessory to the crime. This is not the big moment I expected. Turns out this process is far more complicated than it seems. Even after the direct action from Mexican authorities, the culprits went unharmed. Swecker thoroughly explained why the Mexican orders couldn't be executed. He said that extradition to Mexico will require the investigators from Mexico to present to the U.S. with all the evidence. Afterward, the State Department and FBI will surf through the evidence, and after detailed oversight, if the U.S. authorities tend to stay on the same decision as the Mexican authorities, only then will the decision for the extradition of the culprits be retained. In this case, the U.S. authorities will take it upon themselves to issue a warrant, arrest the suspects, and deliver them to Mexico. Dmitry Shakhnovich, a law professor from the U.S., also explained the situation in his own words, saying the U.S. authorities will most likely keep the case in their own hands. He further added,
"They will engage in their own due process to see if this person that is alleged to have committed a crime should be extradited."
Swecker thinks it is highly unlikely for that to happen. "I would be very surprised if our Justice Department would be willing to extradite to Mexico. I think they'd much rather try these killers up here."
I would be very surprised if our Justice Department would be willing to extradite to Mexico. I think they'd much rather try these killers up here.
Not only that, he further assured that Shanquella will definitely get her due justice, just not as quickly as the family demands. For now, it is quite a thorny situation to guess as to whether the two states are joining hands to solve the matter or deciding to handle it under the blanket single-handedly without involving the other state. His personal views on this matter as a professional of the field who has enough know-how about the ins and outs of FBI are, "I don't think that we are convinced that they would get the type of due process that they're entitled to, as they would be entitled to in this country." Swecker agrees that the victim's family deserve to know if their demands will be met. They should be told what the plan of action of both countries' authorities would be. He states that the victim's family should be given the answers to certain unavoidable questions like,
have they asked for the investigators in Mexico to come to the U.S.? Are they willing to indict these people in the United States?
It isn't common that we see an unresolved case that the FBI is hung up on, but the disappointment still stings. Fans have been tagging the FBI and showing their obvious displeasure at the indecision by saying things like, "It's getting too quiet when it comes to Shanquella Robinson." #Justice for Shanquella, #Cabo6. With the victim's family pleading repetitively for justice, the incoming pressure on the authorities was supposed to get them to speed up. But here we are, 6 months later at the same spot. We all have the same expectations associated with this case. Justice for Shanquella, which can only be served in one way.
If the arrest warrant is for the woman who we see in the video, she needs to be sent over to Mexico sooner rather than later. It's so outrageous.
Well, we can only pray that the FBI and all other concerned authorities decide to plead the case and request the U.S. government to make necessary arrangements for the extradition, where they man up and take matters into their own hands, arrest the culprits, and sentence them to prison. That is the least Shanquella deserves. That's it for today, folks. Until next time, goodbye.